Dubai is screaming $88 physical silver, while the paper market is bleeding into year-end like nothing happened. And if that sentence made your stomach tighten, good. Because that's the feeling you get right before you realize you've been watching the wrong market. Because silver is doing something that should not be happening in a normal commodity. Two prices, two realities, and one giant flashing message that says, price discovery is splitting. If you only watch the chart, you'll miss the story. If you watch the spread, you'll see the trap. Let me tell you the story the market is whispering, and why it's getting louder. There are two worlds now. World A, screen world. That's your spot price, your futures chart, your clean, crisp number that updates every second. It looks like the truth. World B, real world. That's the price someone will actually accept when you say, fine, I want metal, delivered, verified, now. And when those two worlds drift apart, that gap is not a random quirk. It's a symptom of tightness, friction, stress, and urgency, the stuff that never shows up in a neat candlestick. And here's the part people don't want to admit. Year-end is when paper can look weak, even while physical is getting stronger. Thin liquidity, position squaring, profit-taking, risk desks, cutting exposure, all the forced behavior people call normal. Now, why does Dubai at 88 hit different? Because Dubai isn't just a place. Dubai is a distribution nerve, a global physical hub where bullion moves, gets refined, gets resold, gets shipped, gets allocated. Dubai also loves spectacle, and silver has been getting treated like a strategic trophy there, literally. Dubai unveiled a Guinness record giant silver bar recently, and that tells you something about the regional narrative. Metal is status, metal is strategy. So when you hear Dubai physical at $88, the point isn't the exact number. The point is, someone, somewhere, is paying materially above the screen price for immediacy, and that means the market is doing what it always does right before it turns feral. It starts rationing metal using price. Here's how the year-end movie usually plays out. Paper traders are thinking, lock profits, reduce risk, close books. Don't get stuck in a thin holiday tape. Physical buyers are thinking, I don't care about your candle. I care about delivery. I care about availability. I care about what happens when January hits and everyone wakes up again. And Reuters has been covering how wild 2025 has been for silver, outperforming, surging, and staying volatile. Now watch what happens when those two mindsets collide. Paper sells for cleaning, physical buys for securing. That's when you can see a dip on the chart and a spike in premiums off the chart. That's when people start saying the word arbitrage. Most people hear arbitrage opportunity and imagine a clean, easy ATM. Buy cheap here, sell expensive there, pocket the spread, done. That's not this. This is stress arbitrage, and it only exists because the market is fractured. So I'm going to give you the clean definition. Arbitrage is the market's attempt to heal a wound. When physical is $88 and paper is $80, that spread is the market screaming, bring metal from the cheap world into the expensive world. But here's the twist. In real life, the wound doesn't heal cleanly, because the spread is often caused by the very frictions that prevent arbitrage from closing it. That's why it can persist, and that's why it's information. Let me lay this out like a map. Level 1. Retail premium arbitrage, small, messy, emotional. Coins, small bars, branded product premiums. This is where fear and hype show up first. Premiums can spike even when spot drops. Bullion dealers have explained this effect for years. Spot is paper discovered, while physical pricing reflects availability, plus panic, plus logistics. Signal, when small product premiums widen and don't snap back quickly. Level 2, location arbitrage, Dubai versus London versus Shanghai versus NYC. This is where the same ounce has different urgency value depending on where it sits. If one region is paying up persistently, it means local demand is not being satisfied smoothly. Signal, when the premium becomes a habit, not a spike. Level 3, delivery arbitrage, paper to physical conversion. This is the fine, I'll take delivery zone, where paper exposure tries to become metal. But delivery is a pipeline with valves, eligible versus registered inventory delivery timing bar specs counterparties financing. Signal, stress and spreads, unusual backwardation behavior, and persistent physical premiums being referenced even in mainstream coverage. Level 4, industrial offtake arbitrage, the quiet buyer game. This is where the real monsters live. Industrial demand doesn't care about vibes. It cares about not shutting down. Signal, long lead times, substitution chatter, and allocation language creeping into procurement. Level 5, allocation markets. Availability becomes conditional. This is where the market stops being a market and starts being a priority system. Same metal, different rules depending on who you are. Signal, paperwork, delays, restricted channels, policy changes, and controlled import pathways. And yes, policy matters. For example, India tightened restrictions on certain imports of gold and silver from the UAE through specific nominated qualified channels under SEPA frameworks. This is exactly the kind of real-world valve that can shape spreads. The $88 vs. $80 math, why this isn't free money. Let's do the simplest version of the math, just to show you why spreads can be real and still not be easy. Say you see, paper screen reference, $80 physical offer somewhere, 88, or everyone's brain goes $8, that's the trade. But then reality walks in with a clipboard, shipping plus insurance assay, verification, chain of custody fabrication premiums, depending on form factor, payment rails, plus FX, spread taxes, VAT, jurisdiction dependent, import duties, and customs compliance, if cross-border time, the hidden killer, because spreads move while you move metal, counterparty risk, who's actually delivering, liquidity, who's actually buying size at that quote. By the time you subtract friction, your free spread can be thin gone or negative. So why does it still matter? Because even a stubborn spread after friction is a flare gun. It tells you demand is paying for immediacy. What this means for you: 3 paths. Path 1. If you're a trader, your job is not to worship the price. Your job is to watch behavior. Year-end price action can be forced. A dip can be liquidation, not a thesis. So you watch how fast dips get bought, whether rebounds hold ground, whether volatility stays thin and wicked, whether headlines keep talking about physical versus paper dislocations. Path 2. If you're a long-term holder, your edge is patience and process. You don't need to predict tomorrow. You need to understand whether the market is transitioning from tradable commodity, strategic possession. When that shift happens, the chart becomes a lagging indicator. Availability becomes the lead indicator. Path 3. If you're thinking arbitrage in the real world, then the first question isn't how much can I make? The first question is, what frictions control my ability to move metal legally, reliably, and profitably? Because if you ignore compliance and logistics, you're not doing arbitrage, you're just gambling with paperwork. The 7 signals I'm watching next. Let's get practical, not predictions. Signals. Signal 1. Do physical premiums stay elevated after paper dips? If yes, that's tightness wearing a mask. Signal 2. Does the Dubai-Shanghai premium talk persist in mainstream coverage? When mainstream starts referencing it, it's no longer niche. Signal 3. Does volatility stay violent in thin conditions? That's a sign positioning is still crowded. Signal 4. Do we see repeated sell paper buy physical behavior? That's the split hardening. Signal 5. Does delivery talk increase? More people start asking, can I actually get it? Signal 6. Do policy valves tighten or clarify? Because paperwork can move the market more than sentiment. Signal 7. Do spreads become the headline instead of price? When spreads become the story the market is telling you, the system is under strain. Markets don't break because the chart looks scary. Markets break when forced behavior becomes normal. Year-end often creates forced behavior in paper, but if physical refuses to soften, that means the underlying urgency is still there. So, Dubai physical at $88 isn't just a spicy number, it's a clue. A clue that silver is no longer one market. It's multiple markets, stitched together by logistics, policy, and pain. And whenever a market gets stitched together like that, the stitches can snap.